All right, hello. This is Mark Carlson with Ellie, and today we are going to speak with Nate Mullen of Lifetime Lighting Systems. And he's also the founder of the Lighting Trade School and the Lighting Institute of Technology and Education, which is known as LIGHT. And we're just going to basically learn more about what he's doing and why it's important for the landscape lighting profession. So, hello, Nate. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, good,
And
Mark. How are you?
good, good. I'm actually wearing a Hawaiian shirt. I thought it'd be a little different. It's raining outside today up here. So, I thought my last day of hopeful summer. So, there you go. All right, let's talk about the lighting trade school and why did you start that? What was your background on bringing this to the public today?
So it's really a good and a very interesting question, and haven't really put a lot of thought into it, but it's occurred over time. So as you know, maybe a lot of your listeners don't, I've been educating and teaching people for really over 30 years now, and a lot of it had to do when I was an owner of Unique Lighting. We used to put on Unique Universities, whether it be a 2 hour, 4 hour, 8 hour, or really a 5 day seminar. And, back in those days, I always hate it when someone says back in the day, but, back
Yeah.
in the day, there wasn't very many people putting on seminars, right? Especially high level seminars where you would get somebody maybe from kindergarten to college or, whatever that is. And more, you see everybody handing out, hey, come to our seminar. And typically, it's a lot of manufacturers driven. And they'll say, they'll promote a 2 hour seminar and they'll give you a certificate suitable for hanging and really telling you can be a lighting guy in 2 hours. Now, there's guys out there saying that within a short period of time, really months, you're going to become a lighting expert. Now, obviously, if you worked 8 hours a day, 840, 160, 320 hours, that'd be 2 months full time. Could you truly, in your own mind, think you could become a lighting expert in 2 months, working every minute of every day?
Absolutely.
That's
Right.
impossible,
Yeah.
right? Impossible. You couldn't even retain that much information, right?
Right.
So everybody is doing such a disservice to our industry, and it really, frankly, it pisses me off beyond belief. There's more to this, and then you'll get guys saying that, and I don't know if they're going after you and me or the other old guys in the industry, but certainly they're saying the old guys in the industry that have 20 plus years into it, they just don't know anymore, or they're out of touch, and I can't even
Right.
comprehend what they're saying.
Yeah.
So these are guys that really are suits. They don't have very much intellect in the industry. They don't have document wisdom like we do. Certainly, I've done thousands of jobs, and I know you've done a lot of jobs, and we've made lots of mistakes. And when you want to get to what I'm going to say, our level of lighting, which is really predicated upon becoming an artist, and lighting artist, I like to say a living lighting portrait or lighting composition, to where we take it to beyond the next level. So the thought was, instead of coming out, whether it's my core company now, Lifetime Lighting System, and it does a seminar, which is on the surface self-serving, of course it is, but it's more like when you come to my seminar, and anybody that's came to my seminars, it's 98% on topic, not has anything to do with my companies, lighting companies, whether it's been Unique U or Unique Lighting or Lifetime Lighting. It's all about content and trying to get the person to elevate it and get more. Because when you go around the United States, I mean, if you're honest with yourself and you start looking at every job up and down every street, lighting sucks, right? There's too few of lights. There are hot spots everywhere. Everything is front light. Nobody knows how to do lighting. When you think about it, who teaches you? Who's your mentor, right?
Right.
Just somebody that was taught by who? Right? Certainly not a lighting guy. I mean, I interact with people and I see people all the time. And who taught them? It's some suit
Mhm.
that taught from another suit, taught from another suit, right? And
Right.
frankly, they tell you to front light everything, less is more, or and so on and so forth, without any comprehension of how to do lighting. It'd be like if I decided to be an irrigation manufacturer tomorrow, I could. I could fly to
Mhm.
China. I could just relabel, I could be an irrigation manufacturer, and I could pretend I know what I'm doing, and I could come up with basics, right?
Mhm.
Have better coverage, do that, whatever the hell the irrigation guy would say. So half these manufacturers, oh, hell, that's not even true. 3/4 of them, 7/8 of them, they fly to China, they relabel, and they pretend they're a manufacturer. Then they go to AI and ask AI a question. What is glare? And AI spits out a very articulate, right, page on what glare is. Like, these idiots don't even know. So the reason I started the landscape lighting trade school is because I'm tired of these people out there and they're pretenders and they don't know what they're doing. So I came up actually with a thing, and maybe I should share it with you and you could post it or something, to where it really was 60 questions. I ratcheted down to 40, maybe I'll ratchet it back up to 60. If you're out there really looking about, you want to get trained by somebody, how smart is that mentor? How smart is that educator? How smart is that professor? How smart is that luminologist? Even they can self-proclaim themselves being really smart, right? I guarantee you, to your audience here, we'll share those questions with you. I don't think 99% of the people can answer half of the questions, let alone most of them, and they're all relative and they're all important, right? Because they don't understand basics of lighting, right? They don't even know what light does. So
Mhm.
anyway, so I'm just trying to help educate. I think education is, we would all gain from it. And I can tell you, when Hunter Irrigation bought FX, I was so excited that finally maybe another manufacturer, because obviously Hunter, big player in the irrigation industry. I thought, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. Maybe there'll be another company like my company, Unique Lighting, will have an ally for training. No, they've dumbed everything down too, right? They've just, everybody's got the same, aspect when it comes to LED. There's no voltage drop. You don't have to worry about nothing. Everything's great.
Right.
Magically, no training necessary with LEDs. It just,
It's interesting because it seems, and I know of several of my friends, colleagues that we've talked about this. It seems like all the manufacturers, they're focused on that core group of more entry level, like the newbie type, that's going to buy directly off the shelf. They only want to educate to a certain level and then stop. You don't see advanced education. It's recycled a lot of the old, basics, just to get them excited enough to buy the product off the shelf, and then they're out in the field on their own. Would you see that same type of thing, or do you? I think that's another benefit of why what you're doing, I think, is really important, especially from technology and the installation side of things, as well as design. You're offering a higher level because you're really focusing on a lot of the details that have been glossed over in the past.
so I think, that's a very fair statement. And if I go back, I started doing full-time landscape lighting in 1990 as an installer, and then started Unique Lighting in 95. So, if I go back, to 1990 till today, nothing's really changed. So when you think about what you just said, that they just want to, if we just paraphrase and dumb it down, they want to keep everybody at entry level, because certainly having somebody put in 10 lights is pretty goddamn simple. So if they renamed their seminar to "Come to our 2-hour seminar, we'll teach you how to put in 10 lights," because any dummy can put in 10 lights. My damn 4-year-old granddaughter could stick in a light in front of a tree and call it good. So yeah, I think they've dumbed it down beyond belief. And when you look at the core issues, why would they? It takes time, energy, and money to train somebody. All
Yeah.
right. So one thing I have learned, which is, over the years is, I had a guy, Steve Lawrence, and if you are watching
Yeah,
this
I know
video,
Steve.
you'll know
Yeah.
this. Steve Lawrence, who worked for me in Northern California, great guy. Got into many, many battles with him. Those would be some good stories over some cocktails. But he would say, everybody's so thirsty for knowledge, but I'm letting them drink from a fire hose. So they're not quenching their thirst. I'm giving them too much knowledge. And I really believe that. So, I've got a book over here that's 1,000 pages. I've got a book here that's, 500 pages just on philosophy. And it's so comprehensive that it's difficult for anybody to even pick it up and look at it. So, trying to figure out how do you train somebody, whether it's me or somebody else. I think that the guys we're talking about now that I'm so disgusted in as far as their pathetic training is they dumb it down because it's easier for them to sell 10 lights. When you're in most of these guys are in distribution, and if you can get, let's face it, 99.9% of the people that install landscape lighting are irrigation contractors, right? Mm-hmm. So now they're going to get their certificate suitable for hanging from anybody, and it's a degree. Now, when you think about how pathetic this is, right, this is going to piss a lot of people off. And hey, I'm sorry, but you just got to look yourself in the goddamn mirror. Is you're a landscaper and you're an expert at concrete, you're an expert at forming, trenching, grading, landscaping, horticulture, drainage, right? Hardscape, pavers, putting fire pits in, right? Oh, and doing outdoor lighting. So you're an expert at so many things that it's impossible to become an expert at one of them. Right now, I know there's a few exceptions out there because I've known some guys that are just beyond talented. They have the right people. They sub out stuff. Okay, so now you're more of a general contractor. Different story. But if you're a landscaper and you're doing everything yourself with your 10 guys, that's difficult. So of course, it's easier to be able to do surface things in certain categories to satisfy a homeowner, because when 99.9% of the landscape in the United States sucks, and a homeowner, and that's all they see is they see lighting that sucks. And when you tell a homeowner that they need 200 lights and they're looking at their neighbors that have 10 or 15 or 20 lights and it sucks, the last thing they want is 100 or 200 lights. So to get from that transition and change the mindset of not only the contractors out there that have been hearing this bullshit for so long that you can overlight, less is more, less is more. Right now, try to go in there and put them through seminars and teach them that it takes 100 lights or 60 lights to do a job, because there's no difference in lighting, zero difference than there is in irrigation or painting a house. So when you have irrigation, it takes what it takes. So depending on the yard, right, that dictates how many fixtures you have. So if you have a 10 by 10 or 10 by 20, square footage, couple hundred square footage of grass, maybe that only takes 6 sprinkler heads. I don't know. Well, if you have a football field of grass, maybe that takes 50 irrigation heads. So it takes what it takes, because there's a consequence in bad irrigation. The shit dies, right? And that's it. Dies from overwater, dies from underwater. Consequences. If you're painting a house, depending on the room, it takes so many gallons of coverage. If you don't put enough gallons on it, it bleeds through. You don't see it. Half the house ain't painted. So there's a consequence by underbidding and not having enough coverage. Same thing in outdoor lighting, right? It takes coverage. The trick to outdoor lighting, and things have to be very cohesive, obviously at a core, one statement, cohesive, no black holes, right? Be able to establish depth and transition and paint your lighting composition. So cohesion, right? Well, that takes a quantity of fixtures to do that. So if you think that job takes 20, I'm going to put 50 on it. It's not going to be overlit, right? Matter of fact, it takes a quantity of lights and fixtures to be subtle. So my type of lighting is subtle. My lighting will be more subtle with 100 lights than your job will be with 20. And that's just a fact. And I would love to challenge each and every one of these guys, these so-called guys that are out there, right, promoting you can be an expert in 2 months and all this bullshit. Yeah, I'd like to have a contest with you. I'd like to fucking fly anywhere in the United States. You fly to my neighborhood and we'll go fucking see, right? Because you're just doing pathetic, hurting our industry. So yes, I agree with you on the statement you made a little while ago that they're doing intentionally, they're dumbing everything down, right? They don't have to train themselves. They don't have to train guys. They'd rather sell 10 lights to 100,000 contractors and call it good, right? Now, the other thing I've come up with, knowing that it is a process and it does take a long time. And when, instead of trying to train out a massive book, I'm coming up with, hey, flashcards, right? And So we're coming up, we're just developing it now. We're coming up with flashcards that are small, 3x5. We'll come up with a generic question like, when does lighting transition into art? Well, that could be a very subjective question, but you could have one of 100 answers probably, right? So whatever the answer is, right? And this is under a topic reasons for lighting. This is card number 5 of 20. When the lighting designer elevates a space beyond functionality, right? What does that mean? Hey, it can mean a lot of different things, but you want to get a lot of more information, go to chapter 2, page, page 42, right? Get more detail, into a book, into something, maybe into the documentation library, right? But you can generally get a lot of substance by dumbing this down, probably not the right word, but not giving you so much detail, and you can go find more detail. So we're doing a lot of those type of education. We're coming up with tons of, pitch and detailed installations, CAD details and how to do different things. And then thousands and thousands of photos on 4x6 cards that are, categorized into different, front yards, backyards, concepts, grazing, moonlighting, this, that, whatever. So it's a lot finding fairly new concept, finding that it's a better way of paying somebody, right? Just give them a little bit more of information.
Right. You whet their appetite by giving them little bits and pieces, and then to see if they are knowledgeable enough on it. If they're not, then they'll know, well, gosh, maybe I have a weakness in this area. I should learn more. And instead of trying to throw, like you said, that big binder at them, it's time consuming. People are gonna get glaze over in their eyes, that whole deal. So
Oh God.
I think it's smart.
So, so one of my things as the lighting trade school now is I want to highly train X amount of people. Now, I know for a fact, thousands of people, they're not going to care. They just don't give a shit, right? And not that that's bad or good, right? They don't really care because maybe they've extracted, maybe they're a paving company, okay? Just, right? We know there's tons of paving companies out there that do a really good job, and they put, precast, if you would, fireplaces in and barbecue structures, and they do these things. They do such a good job of extracting money in their sales process. There is no more money for lighting. Got it, right?
Yeah.
Because they're a hardscape company. They're a paving company. Same with a pool company. Same with maybe a trellis company, a landscape company. There is no more room for lighting because lighting is the last thing. Got it. So they have to put 10 lights in, not 100. I understand that concept. I get it. Right. So that's not technically the fault of maybe that contractor. It's just the homeowner ran out of money. Great opportunity for me. So when I put in 100,000 lights when I was a lighting contractor, it was always for jobs that were 3 to 5 years after the fact of the landscaper general contractor doing all their work, because they had no money and the stuff was immature. So I come in 3 to 5 years later, whatever the time is, and now everything's mature. They got money again. They've lived in darkness for 3 to 5 years. I come in, I'm like a lighting hero, right? Lighting up these things that they haven't even seen, right? In darkness. So I get there's reasons why they can't do a lot of good lighting. So my intent, hopefully, is to get as many people as they can, whether that's 10 or 100 or 200 or 300. There's a number there that want to become the elite, the lighting assassins, the masters of illumination, right? And then really be able to go out and go backward in time from all these jobs that were not done correctly, and be able to let these people enjoy their lighting. It's the emotional side of what we do is mind-blowing. These people love their homes. They've spent a tremendous amount of money installing different subjects and different elements, whether it be pools, jacuzzi, saunas, trellises, right, outdoor eating areas, whatever it is, and they can't enjoy it because there's no lighting. Imagine having your house and there's no lighting in the rooms, and you're just stuck to lighting in the family room. Other than that, there's no lights anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. You would never be able to enjoy your house at night. So the outdoor space is arguably the biggest living area they have. So anyway, so it's exciting to be able to hopefully get guys in a structured process, right? And we have a lot of different things as far as, what it is, right? Obviously, it's tough sometimes to get on a plane and fly to go to a 3, 4, or 5 day seminar. So we have a lot of online things that we're doing, really, and the flashcards are going to be a big part of that. So there's a lot of activities that we do. There's, obviously group phone calls, there's one-on-one. And one of the things that we're doing now is, depending on someone's skill set. So let's just say you're a landscaper and you have really just want to improve your lighting just on the land. You say maybe you do 4 jobs a year and you just want to improve it on those 4 jobs. You don't need to get a PhD in landscape lighting when you're just going to want to improve your current jobs that you're doing. So that can be, that can obviously be, first or second year of college, you're good to go. Right, versus maybe you want the PhD Masters of Illumination course and you want to go out there and do Hearst Castle jobs and you need to learn infrastructure and a lot of different things to do those complicated jobs. Or you want to be able to go value engineer or Ritz Carlton or anything. Like free door open. So we're gonna have a lot of different structure, whether it be an hour a week or group calls or one-on-one. But how we determine that is we need to do a discovery call. So anybody that may or may not be interested, we need to spend, 30 minutes to an hour with you and find out what your desire is, where your capabilities are today, where you want to go.
Right.
I've been saying ever, if you don't have a roadmap, any road will get you there. So we got to develop the plan, the roadmap.
Good. Nice. Well, I think the other big benefit to all of this too is you're one of the few that's willing to step outside of this box, this norm of just do what's been done in the past, like all the manufacturers are doing, distributors and such with the entry level type training. And this is going to help not only the trade, but I think the consumer too. We need to get more exposure to them to see what is good lighting and what's the difference between the different types of guys, the quality of people that are doing this. So I think it's great what you're doing. Can you tell us what are you focused on all kinds of areas within your landscape trade school or the lighting trade school? Is it primarily installation or do you cover all aspects?
So we're gonna be doing something. It's gonna be all aspects. Now, what does that mean? So technically, it's called the lighting trade school, technically, right? But I always end up calling it the landscape lighting trade school because that's my core business is landscape lighting.
Right.
But no, it's going to encompass holiday lighting, right? Event lighting, bistro lighting, nighttime activity lighting. We're going to cover all kind of aspects of lighting, even getting into some Christmas lighting. So we're going to have affiliates, right? So we're going to have boards. It's not going to be so much. Well, I'm going to bring it up in a minute, Mark, but we're starting another thing called Light. You mentioned at the very beginning, Lighting Institute Technology and Education. That's going to be the document holder, if you will. So there's going to be a bunch of people on that board. Could have been on the board of the trade school too, but I get the big picture, doesn't matter. But there's going to be Christmas light guys on there, and there's going to be a lot of different people on there from their expert, and they'll be experts in the industry. They're going to have value to be on this board. So there will be segments of this that absolutely will be able to go into Christmas lighting, permanent lighting, different things, because that is an aspect of what we do, right? So if you can integrate low voltage landscape lighting and to have that transition seamlessly into holiday lighting, event lighting, right?
Right.
Fun lighting, like, hey, if you just wanted to, if you're I'm a Charger fan, right? But if you're a football fan, whatever your team colors are, imagine if they win games or went to the Super Bowl, you could have the ability to change colors and celebrate, right, through different colors. So yeah, that's going to be a big part of it, because who doesn't like stuff like that? And that's been a big gap in the industry of how to bridge that, right? And getting into controls, right? How do you control things? Do they need to integrate with Control 4, right? Or Lutron, right? Dimming capabilities, and different things like that. That's been a pretty big hole. Not to say that some manufacturers haven't tried to get there, but the complication level is at a PhD fucking level. So you can't, it's so complicated that you can't even begin to do it, right? So we've been working with some manufacturers out there, right, to be able to integrate color and dimming seamlessly into light control for where you don't have to be a genius. But yeah, I think there's a big part of that. We're looking at a thing at a convention called Trans World, which at the end of February, beginning of March, it's the largest holiday, Halloween and Christmas convention, I think, in the world. And we're going to be there a couple days prior. We're going to be putting on a lot of these, segmented things that'll, obviously flow into each one of the things that I've said and more, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, no, it's going to be a full circle of lighting, and you can come into all of them or part of them, depending on where you want to be,
Right,
you know.
right. Well, I know we haven't really talked about this, but the upcoming event that we're putting on, the Designers Collective Workshop, that's in January, that I'm excited about that because we'll get a chance, you and I together, to spend time with these participants on all these different aspects. And you've got a great property to work with, that's an actual training site as well. And so anyways, I'm excited about that, getting people the chance to see and learn from both of us really on installation, design, sales, service. I mean, the whole side of lighting, what we're doing. So that's good.
Yeah. So I'm super excited about that, obviously, collective, no one's smarter than everybody, right? So
Mhm.
you can get a couple smart people that have the same mindset. There's
Yep.
always a lot of different ways to do something, and everybody can learn from everybody. So,
Yep.
that is going to be and there's nothing better to be able to have 4.5 days to be able to take that time so you're not super stressed. And it'll be amazing that and this is when you go to a 5 day, 4 to 5 day seminar, um, the students really start figuring out that, holy shit, they need another 15, 20, 30, 40 days, right? I mean, there's just so much to learn,
Sure.
you know.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, no, it'll be good. That's in, what is that, January 21st, or
21st through the 24th. Well,
yeah,
actually, they get in the 20th.
yeah,
So,
get down on the 20th, yeah.
so
Hmm.
day and night, there'll be long days, but again, there's a lot of content to cover, and I think it'll be a great opportunity for people, especially if they're newer. Now, how about back to your lighting trade school? I mean, are you looking primarily for newer guys to get involved, or is it open to all levels, or what's your expectation there?
So this would be getting back to that discovery call. I mean, I'm open to everybody, right?
Hmm.
So I'm it's really this is the advantage, I guess, of having the online courses and virtual training to where, like I was starting to say, if you just wanted to elevate your game up a little bit to do better lighting just on your existing jobs, absolutely, we'll have a course for that. If you
Hmm.
want to come in and start a full, so go to the other extreme, right? You just want to up your game a little bit on your existing jobs. Go from, maybe it's a 10 light job to a 25, just to be able to create some transition and beginning elements of how the lighting composition works, and balance and transition and levels of light, right? And depth and navigation and visual transportation, all of that stuff. So maybe it's 10 to 25 lights, good deal. But maybe you want to become that master illumination and really be able to go out and maybe go backward and do homes that have spent a lot of money. And how do you do those 100 and 200 light jobs? They're out there everywhere. I mean, whoever's coming to our seminar, you're going to see my house in my neighborhood, which is a semi-normal neighborhood. Then lots of 200 light jobs in my neighborhood in normal homes. And because a normal home, what's the definition of a normal home? So a normal home for me, in my breakdown, is somebody that enjoys their home. They have semi-mature landscaping. They have elements in their backyard that lends them and is conducive to entertaining and relaxing outside. So they barbecue, they have gazebos, maybe a couple. They have lots of vista points, right? So they can have usability of their space. So
Mhm.
when you get somebody that has a front yard, a backyard, maybe they have a courtyard near their front door, and if you start really thinking, well, it's very difficult to do, even in the smallest job, seems to take 25 to 50 lights. Well, if you have a front yard, a backyard, a side yard, well, there could be 150 lights, right? I
Mhm.
mean, it's not uncommon to put 20 to 40 lights on a structure, lighting up the roof, interior lighting the structure, having it on different zones via switching, right? And everything is established from different viewpoints. So you have multiple viewpoints. So you can get to 150, 200 lights really fast when you understand lighting. So
Mhm.
when you take a simple neighborhood like mine, yeah, these aren't massive mansions. These aren't people that are billionaires. These are people that are ordinary homes that love their home. And when you sit there and you look about how expensive it is to build a pool and cabanas and structures and do landscaping and the hardscape, it's not uncommon to put 500 grand in a yard. I mean,
Yeah.
not uncommon. So if you think about lighting, I call it lighting tax. And if lighting tax was 10%, well, it's 50 grand in lighting if it was 500 grand. I mean, there's a relationship there. So, if you charge 250 a light, well, that's 200. That's a 200 light job is 50 grand, right? It's only 10%. So the numbers are there and they're not unattainable as far as that goes. They're not unrealistic. It's all about usability in the homes for those clients to be able to get maximum enjoyment and usability. So
Yeah.
anyway, so that is my intention, is to be able to hopefully get a lot of people up to that level. Because it's just crazy, and you've seen it on every one of the jobs, right? People don't expect a 200 light job, they expect a 30 or 40 light job. But once you go through a process, a structured process, and the sales process, um yeah, I hate even the word selling, because you sound like a used car guy when you're trying to sell somebody, right? The whole trick to selling is getting that consumer wanting to buy your product. So if you can get the consumer, the client, to want to buy your lighting, then you don't sell them anything. So,
Right.
we'll be talking a lot about that at the seminar. How do you get that conversion rate from selling to buying? But I mean, and people are just unbelievably happy because they get to enjoy their outdoor spaces now. Yeah, so
Sure.
I'm hoping really, I'm really hoping that I'll get a lot of guys that want to elevate their game and become truly masters, and they want to make, I mean, they want to make $1 million a year. I mean, it seems like a high number, and it seems like it's crazy. How can you make $1 million a year in landscape lighting? Well, you're looking at two people probably right here, right? I
Mm.
mean, it's not hard, right? The opportunity is there, and that's the lucky thing about how many people in the United States truly know how to do lighting like you and me do. Is there 100 people? Is there 50, 20, 200? I don't even know what the number is. It's a small number, though. You
Yeah.
know, it's a small number. So I'm just hoping that, I'm glad for the opportunity to be able to train people that are willing, that want to learn our trade.
Sure. Sure. Can we, I don't know if you are interested in talking about this right now, but I know at our event that's coming up, you're going to be discussing some new innovations that you have, or the thoughts on DC power supplies. And that I see is looks like it's going to be the wave of the future going forward. You've always been ahead of the game on a lot of these innovations in our industry. I mean, you can just see all the patents and things on your wall behind you. But do you want to talk a little bit about that, DC, a little bit, and the importance of that, why that's relevant today?
So let me just, without having to go through an hour
Yeah,
of
I
all
know
the
it's a
real
lot.
benefits, let me just give a couple of thoughts, I guess, which I think are important thoughts, and maybe I'm delusional when I think they're important. So, I'm the guy that came up with the multi-tap transformer in the year 1990, right? And I did it because voltage drop and halogen, right? So,
Mhm.
and so fast forward today. So the inventor of the multi-tap transformer, which every single landscape lighting company uses today, my transformer that I
Garage entry door open.
I don't use that transformer today. Pretty powerful, right? The guy that came up with the multi-tap does not use it today currently. That's because LEDs are DC. They are not AC. So when you have an AC magnetic transformer, which LEDs, electronics hate, just forget LEDs, the whole LED is electronic device. So AC magnetic transformers are, they help kill LEDs. So everybody's heard of a thing called volt amps, VA. So if you look at any manufacturer, and you had a 4-watt LED, honest manufacturers will sit there and have a little column right next to it in their catalog, and it'll say VA 6.3. So it means the 4-watt lamp is not a 4-watt lamp. It's a 6.3-watt lamp. Why don't they just call it a 6.3, right? Because they're hoping that no one really knows how inefficient, right, their systems are. So one, there is no VA volt amps in DC. Two, electronics have to have stable voltage. They have to have clean filtered noise. So when you just think simplicity, that every single thing in the world,
Entry door open.
pretty powerful statement. I'm doing this video here at my home office. My wife's walking in and out of the door. You can hear some garage door open, right? So when you think about everything in the world, right, that's electronic, whether it be, our cell phone chargers, printers, modems, computers, TVs, I mean, anything that you can think of, refrigeration, everything, electronics in the dishwasher. Every one of those things has a black power condition box attached to it. We all know this. Converts it AC to DC, conditions the power, stabilizes the voltage, right? Everything. So the only thing in the world, the only category in the world, right, is landscape lighting manufactured in the US. Now, why is that? Is that the craziest thing you've ever heard of? The only people that sell AC magnetic transformers are really for landscape lighting manufacturers. Why is that? I mean, do they not know? What's their hidden agenda? Would they have to do a massive recall? But they do a disservice to our industry, right? Yeah. So it's fun when you can show people the difference between AC and DC. It's awesome, right? Where it's more efficient, right? They run cooler. There's no volt amps. You can get better distances. Anyway, so that's awesome. So yeah, we'll get into that, and maybe we'll do more in-depth video on that. But yeah, we'll be getting into that, in person here for sure. But yeah, no, so that is definitely, that there was really no innovation for me on that as far as that. That's just known technology that's been out there forever, right? So
well, I just think it's awesome that you're pushing that agenda now because, again, really, who else is? I mean, there's not really anybody else that's pushing it in our industry. So I think, hey, if we want to all get better, if we want to provide, performance as a measure, or higher measure to what we're doing, then that should be included.
Well, I think it's, I mean, I always pride myself at Unique. I pride myself today that, honesty, transparency. So when you look at when everybody went from halogen to LED, instantly all they did was go to their computer and retype and did the deal and went and printed out now LED transformer, the same identical transformer that they were buying, and now it's an LED transformer via a label. That's just deception. Well, what made it an LED transformer? Nothing, right? It's the same transformer. So when you look at what I do, I truly have the only power management system out there, right? Which is a complete cohesive system between the power driver, which is made for the LED. It matches it up. It does all these different things that it needs to do, right? To an LED that's written by my specs. They're proprietary to me. They're so high efficient. They have the best thermal properties, right, for heat management, dissipation, and then my wiring methods, which are very proprietary, and I came up with new wiring methods, that even are better than the hub, which I love the hub. I still integrate the hub system. But when you consider that this is a system, I have the only true lighting system out there that's like matched and made for it from all those three categories, right? Power supply at the heart of the system, right? The wiring method, which is, gives you the veins, doing the blood, and then the fixtures, right, with the light bulb. So yeah, no, it's exciting. When I started the new company, I took nothing from the past, and whether it been my past or the path of the industry, I've just come up with everything brand new. And And why wouldn't we? We have LEDs, which are 90% more efficient. Why wouldn't we have a totally new system?
Hmm.
So yeah, no, I'm
No, that's
excited.
awesome.
Yeah, and even though I started the company about 5 years ago, I really started it yesterday because I made a commitment, and I bought things from China just like everybody. And then I made a commitment to F those son of a bitches that are destroying our country. So I made a commitment about 3 years ago that I buy nothing from China now, with the exception of light bulbs, because you cannot get light bulbs in the US per se, right? So I retooled in the United States. It's cost me a couple $1,000,000, about 3 years. Everything's made now in the US. I'm super excited about that. So
Awesome. That's
yeah.
great. Well, very.
Um,
Do you want to jump over to light real quick before we end today, or just kind of talk
no,
about
so
what the
so
concept is there?
so when you so everybody, I would assume everybody has product installation sheets, everybody has manuals, everybody has a lot of things. So I have a lot of details that go way beyond, say, general installation sheet, right? You know, so there might be like a detail, I don't know if you can see it, but there might be a detail like, how you do a cabana or a structure, and what's the purpose of putting fixtures, maybe here, there, behind, in front, sides, 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights. I mean, what's the whole concept behind that? So I really didn't want to have the documentation under lifetime lighting systems. I wanted to have an entity that, oh, hey, I'm getting a phone call. How crazy is that? Um, I guess Zoom should, that'd be a
I
thing
just
for
saw a little
Zoom.
black flash, but that was about it. Nothing else. So I think you're still rolling.
Yeah, I
So,
think I'm still rolling too. It's just funny how I can see the person calling in on me right now. Zoom should have a thing to where, hey, mute or don't allow phone.
oh yeah, yeah.
Um, so anyway, so I thought it would be really good to have some type of authority body out there, right? That would hold documentation in videos in a document library, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, so light against your technology and education. So it's going to hold all these documents that are, I'm going to say, unrelated to lifetime lighting, right? There are
Hmm.
documents we need in the industry, from value engineering, from photometrics and different things, and different details on why would you light a gazebo this way, right? And all the installation videos, which will be hundreds of them, all the way from what an amp probe does, about how you use an amp probe, and understanding of Ohm's law, and how to do the proper mounting of a tree. Just that simple thing. I go around all over the United States, and I am very observant, right? And it makes
Hmm.
me better, right? Situational awareness. It's one of my SMART acronyms, and the S stands for situational awareness. What do I do that's wrong and failures years down the road? And what does everybody else do that's wrong? Tree bracketing and mounting on trees. It's just unbelievably pathetic how people don't
Hmm.
even offer you they sell you a tree fixture supposedly, but they don't give you hardware to mount in the tree. People
Right.
just screw the bracket to the tree without a stand-up bracket. So a lot of documentation will be like that, how to do things correctly, right?
Hmm.
So, for future considerations. And then, we're assembling, like I said, I'm assembling smart people to be on the board, electrical engineers, right? People like yourself, right? People that will add value to the industry, right? So that's going to be really awesome. So it's really a documentation library, and it'll be the body that does the testing. Because
Right.
when most people give you a test, manufacturer, 90% of the test is predicated upon their product knowledge and their product. There won't be
Mhm.
one question on my tests have anything to do with my product, right? It's all about things that you need to know, right? Whether it
Right.
be how many amps can you put on 12.2, right? How many
Mhm.
amps can you put on 14.2, right? How many watts are on 12.2 at 12 volts? How many watts are on 12.2 at 24 volts, right? What's the
Mhm.
difference, right? I mean, there, I've already got the testing done, and it's like hundreds and hundreds of questions that are very difficult, right? And again, when you go into, if you want to take it up to that next level, right? You want to have that PhD in outdoor lighting, and you want to value engineer outdoor lighting, say on a Ritz Carlton, and you have to go into a meeting but the owner's rep and the electrical engineer and the lighting designer, they hate you. You're the enemy because you're going to go in there and value engineer their lousy lighting design. You're going to save the client hundreds of thousands of dollars probably because they're doing all 110 more than likely, not 12 volts, and 12 volts a lot more cheaper to put in. So you better be smart, right?
Yeah.
You better go in there with guns ablazing. You better have ammo in your gun ready to shoot because they're ready to shoot. So those are things that you have to be able to learn and have the higher education, but be able to have maybe a body like Light that has documentation that you can use, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, so Light's going to be cool. We're building the website now. A lot of the documentation is done, the standards, right, the testing, the standards, the specifications, and all that stuff that you would expect that people could adhere to, right? Like different specs on wire, right? When you just think about wire, Mark. So for the most part, people will buy their this cheap shit from China. It has reground plastic. It's black for a reason because black obviously by nature it's got the most UV protection in it. But when you look at how stiff it is, okay, it's super stiff, brand new. Well, that's because they use reground plastic. So, and then it gets stiffer and stiffer, and then it cracks over time. So you can have the most unbelievably system using DBYs, the best connection. You're using dielectric grease. Everything is perfect. But what do you know? The distributors where you buy your wire from, right? Which we know the big three, right?
Yeah.
And they don't give a shit about anything. They want to buy the cheapest wire out there because it's a commodity. So they buy that cheapest shit out there. And then you're buying it because you don't know any difference. And then it starts cracking after 3 to 5 years, introduces wicking and corrosion. As you can all see, you go to any yard in the United States, it starts dripping wire, it's all black, right?
Yeah.
Electricity travels around the wire, not through the wire. So when you have that impedance around the wire, it starts causing voltage drop and different things. So, and no good. It's going to ruin your lighting system. I know this because I started discovering this in 1992, 93. So So my wire or the specs will say you need to use virgin plastic. So it's super flexible. You can't have any soy in it. China, of course, being China, they throw fucking soy in their wire, right? Soy as a filler. Like they don't already have the cheapest shit. Now they got to throw soy in it, which is why rodents love China wire because of the soy. So no soy, no gluten, right? It needs to be identified, right? So writing specs like this will help people have a better job for the consumer. Because when you're trying to save 15 cents, say from buying better wire, right, from shitty wire, what is 15 cents a foot or 20 cents a foot in the big scheme of things? You're doing, and you don't even know you're doing a client a disservice. So having general specifications of how things should be done, right? Like, I did $100 million probably, or maybe more in electrical contracting between, banks and commercial art, centers and all these different things. And as an electrical contractor, those specs, they were our Bible. Those were the things that we had to use predicated upon whatever we were doing. Those specifications are important, and they're going to create separation for the contractors, when they can articulate to a homeowner either through, words or a bid or a proposal or whatever about the quality material they use. So it's all really, really good. So I'm super excited about those two things, the landscape lighting trade school and then of course light.
No, that's great. Because it's definitely needed. That's something I've been promoting for a while now, that we have no real authority in landscape lighting. So where does the trade go to find out what's the best thing? Who knows? Where does the public go? It's the same thing. Nobody knows where to turn. And obviously, most of the manufacturers out there, they could set up something and do something about it, but they haven't. Why is that? So it's, again, I think it all ties back into, well, they're thinking about the mighty dollar, how to sell their product. They don't care about the future so much as a lot of them claim. So I think this is great. It's much needed for us. And I appreciate you doing this. That's why we've been excited about at Ellie to get more involved with you guys. So then that way we can share and build this thing to give back for the whole. So
Well, it's kind of funny to expand upon that, why. So, I've been at several trade shows, conventions and stuff over the past 2 or 3 months, and probably 5 or 6 of them. You walk around, and this last trade show I was at, there was this new company came out of nowhere. They completely 100% knocked off this other company, right? That's been around for 25 years. And they're talking to the guy. They're super excited, of course, because they're pretending, and you start asking them questions, and then you're finding out they know nothing about outdoor lighting, but you found out, right, that they were the head sales guys and of this other company, and they just went to China and knocked them off, but they know nothing, right? So then you start really looking around the industry, and a lot of times when I'm at these trade shows, I have all these bottles of ketchup behind me, right? And there's 7 or 8 bottles of ketchup, and people come up and they go, "What are the bottles of ketchup?" And I said, "Well, frankly, those are all my competition. Everybody's bottles of ketchup. If I wanted to manufacture ketchup, I could fly to the ketchup manufacturer, relabel it today, and I'm a ketchup manufacturer. Know nothing about ketchup, but I'm truly now, right?" So the problem with most of these companies, they're repackagers, they're relabelers, right? They don't know anything. So, and I'll tell these guys that come to my booth, why don't you go up and ask how many lighting jobs FX has done? How many? 0, right? Because they're not lighting guys. They don't have the passion. So I think it stems from passion, right? So when you're out there doing demos and you're out there learning and you're out there advancing the industry and you're building products that are sensible and are solution based, because you're out there knowing that there's all these issues out there. So when you look at, I don't know of one manufacturer, and I'm probably wrong about this, but I don't think there's one manufacturer out there that's ever installed a light. I mean, they just haven't. Even my old company, they don't install lighting anymore. I mean, they don't have the documented wisdom about their being every day. I mean, I still try to do 4 jobs, 5 jobs a year to stay on top of stuff and try to invent new ideas and do different things, right? So I just don't think, I think that's a big part of it. They just own a lighting company because they own a lighting company, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Well, yeah, there's a lot to do. I know that much. And so I think where things are going, like I said, I'm excited about what you're doing, and I think this is going to help raise the bar for everybody. So thank you for your time. Hey,
well, thank you for your time. And then, hey, you'll be out there promoting our collective workshop coming up in January.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited about that. I think this is a first step that we can now do more and more and more for the profession this next year. So it's going to be good. One last thing I'd like to say is, how can people reach you if they have more interest in what you're doing, learn more about lighting trade school, about light, about your product, lifetime lighting systems?
So my email is Nate Mullen, NateMullen 57. So Nate Mullen 57 at Gmail. And hey, my cell phone, I don't care, right? 760-580-4980. 760-580-4980. Doesn't matter to me, reach out. Right. It always cracks me up when people want to hide their cell phone. It's like, really? Are you the president of the United States? For God's sakes. Right. You're going to call me because you're interested. I'm going to take your call. Right.
There you go.
So
Awesome.
but yeah. All right, man. Well, listen,
I'm excited about, like I say, the year coming up. Or the years coming up. I'm happy for the presidential win, and I know you are as well. And I think it opens the door for more prosperity, more hope. So let's do it. Thank you.
well, you could be like Jimmy Kimmel and just cry on national TV that the world just ended, or you could be like us. We're going to go forward and march on in
There
this
you go.
economic world that we can win now.
Yep.
So I'm excited, buddy. I'm excited.
Well,
all right, man.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, Nate. I appreciate it. And we'll be talking here shortly.
All right, buddy. We'll talk soon, man. Thanks.
Thank you.